chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I am going to show you an astonishing chess game that was played between Robert James Fischer and Grandmaster Padula. This game is very amazing because Fischer's chess openings are just very cool and awesome, so, stay tuned until the end of the video. Fischer started the game with e4, and with the black pieces, we have the Caro variation from Padula, and here many players might consider d4 to attack the knight, therefore, you can bring back your knight. And black will likely consider c5, and after knight to c6 occurs to attack the pawn, you can play knight g3, and after queen c7 to apply more pressure. Don't worry, you can play b5, pinning down the knight, and the position will just go like this where black has an advanced structure and there are no serious disadvantages for you. Be happy with this, but in our actual game, instead of playing d4, we just have pawn exchanges, and bishop to f5 was considered by black. Now, we have knight moves back. Bishop goes there, and h4 was considered to enable h5, attacking the bishop of course. Playing h6 in this position is now forced, as Fischer compelled black to consider this move to hide the bishop in the dustbin, but now Fischer gets the opportunity to play knight to e5, attacking your pieces, and you can see that there is a possibility of doubling up the g5 with double pawns because your h-pawn is pushed forward, therefore, the piece hiding is there, and here Fischer played an amazing move. Can you guess what Fischer played in this position? Remember, he played with attack and tempo in the opening. He played the move that shocked the world with queen to h5, attacking the pawn. Now, how do you protect your pawn? The only move to protect the pawn is to consider g6, which black did. Now, do you know what black plays here? Remember again, he played more authentically. He played the powerful move bishop to c4, attacking the f7 pawn, and of course, you cannot capture the queen. A beginner player might think of capturing the queen, but bishop takes f7 will lead to an instant checkmate on the chessboard. Therefore, moving back to the position, we discover that capturing the queen is not good. Therefore, we have e6 on the board, trying to block the position, and you can see how Fischer's chess opening is just masterful. He blocked black's bishop and knight, developed his own knight, developed the queen and bishop, all with tempos upon tempos. The queen moves back to the e2 square, and here, this knight on e5 is very annoying. Therefore, you might consider knight to d7 to kick out the knight, but this would be a very blunderous move because I can consider knight takes f7, attacking the queen and forking the rook. I can have my cake and eat it, winning the chess game, and there is also queen takes e6, which would mean the position is just over for you. Alright, so going back to the position, we discover that the pawn on f7 is again under attack. Therefore, we have queen to e7 to protect the pieces. d4, bishop g7 was played, and you can see that the position is very vulnerable and passive for black. He has to develop very well, and after a couple of moves, we have bishop to f4, protecting the knight, where the queen is widely open there. Fischer can play a long castle, bringing out his rooks on the d and e files. The knight moves, we have a long castle. And you can see how Fischer is trying to get access to the d file. Another rook can also arrive, don't forget, and he's hoping to push forward all the pawns to attack black's kingside. As the knight is also active there, the knight brother is there to attack more after castling, and this position is like a crazy house. Have you ever played crazy house? This is my favorite chess variant because by playing crazy house, you can enhance your chess tactical skills. And you can see that Fischer played f3 to push forward the pawn. After a few exchanges occurred in the center, we have further knight exchanges, and the queen was considered to attack the pawn. Now we have h5, bishop to h6, to attack the bishop. The rook moves, and after the exchanges occur, the king goes here, rook c6, queen g5 was followed to consider knight takes h5 to create some sort of attack. Then the king goes there, and in a few moves, you can see that Fischer joined his rook on e5, and we have queen to f6 on the board to give some checks. But in this position, Fischer should have gone for knight to e2 to protect the pawn on the c3 square from the rook invasion, but now black got the opportunity to capture the pawn and bring the queen to a4, creating some attacks on Fischer's home. After the bishop move, queen h6 check, king goes there, and you can see that the knight can go back to e2, but here, Fischer played a blunder move because he is also human, he doesn't play like me or any chess engine. Now black got the opportunity to play Queen A5, attacking the rook on the board, and even if you consider rook to F1, and, even in this position, if you capture the bishop and now play rook to F1, the position will be over for him. Now black can play queen to C2 check, and after the king moves, queen takes B2 will lead to checkmate, so, therefore, you have to play very carefully. So, if you dare to consider rook to D2 to protect the pawn, that's no better because black can sacrifice the rook, capture the pawn, and play queen to D1, and this position will be just over for you. So, let me share an inspirational quote in sudden with you. Don't compare your life to others, there's no comparison between the sun and the moon, they shine when it's their time. Alright, so going back to the position, we discovered that any rook move is not possible, therefore, in this position, Fischer tried to sacrifice his knight on the f5 square because the king cannot go there, and the pawn will hang. After the capture, queen check, and a few moves later, you can see how Fischer is trying to protect the position, the rook a3 came, and we have a few queen exchanges, and you can see Fischer is trying to access this, I mean, capture the pawns here and there, and check occurs in the game. Fischer needs to capture all these pawns and push forward his pawn, and you can see how the game is progressing on the board. Fischer doesn't want to lose the game. And this position is just over for white because white just made a blunder. Black needs to consider king c4, but he played king d5, which is a blunder move. Now again, black played another blunder, rook to c2 on the board. Rook c2 is a very blunderous move. Black needed to keep the rook on the b2 square, not play rook c2. The best move for black was to consider rook e2, but he played rook c2, a blunder, and after a couple of moves, you can see how Fischer is trying to manage the position. He finally got the opportunity to consider rook a8 check, which will lead to checkmate. The position is just over, and Fischer finally wins the game. This is the brilliance of Fischer that I illustrated. I hope you enjoyed the game very much. If so, then don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing all of us bye bye, take care and see you soon.